Sure, they have Marvel, they have Star Wars, heck, they have Pixar, but they also have Disney Plus originals. So let's talk about those. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is video number 2 in my Disney Plus series. Last week we talked Disney Plus live-action movies, and not Disney live-action movies like Lion King and Jungle Book, just movies that take place in the real world. I had to distinguish that in that video. And the next video we're doing is animated movies on Disney Plus that you guys can watch right now. But today we're talking the 5 Disney Plus original movies that are scripted. They do have one documentary-esque original movie, but we're only going to focus on the 5 that are brand new, a new concept, a new idea. Or you look at a film like Lady and the Tramp, that is actually a Disney Plus live-action remake. If you guys enjoy this series and if you like this ongoing talk of what to watch on streaming platforms, please let me know. We did a few videos on this last year, but I hope to continue this series. But as of right now, I do want to get into the top 5. No honorable mentions today because, well, you know why. Coming in at number 5 is actually the film that we just talked about, and that is Lady and the Tramp. Now, I do want to start with this. These 5 movies, I believe all of them are watchable, and I honestly believe all of them are okay. But the first 3 I'm going to talk about, I would put on a separate tier from the second choice, and then my number 1, I would genuinely say is a movie that you guys need to watch. But these first 3 movies, I think they're okay, and that's how I feel about Lady and the Tramp. This isn't the worst movie you'll ever watch. It's definitely not the worst Disney live-action remake. It's actually pretty solid in parts. I think the voice cast is incredible. Tessa Thompson as Lady, Justin Theroux as Tramp. You have voices like Sam Elliott in there, and they are retelling this story. Now, here's the thing about Lady and the Tramp. I actually don't have a connection to the original. I think it's cute, and when I go back and rewatch it, I'm like, oh, this is a genuinely nice movie, but I don't have that nostalgia for it that I do, say, a Lion King or an Aladdin. So I didn't mind the fact that this was going to be remade. And I will say the animals are definitely more emotive than something like in The Lion King. And certain elements work, like the CGI. It looks solid. I think the story in itself is really cute. The problem here is it just wasn't as memorable as it wanted to be. Some of these other live-action movies, good or bad, have stood out in more of an exciting way. Lady and the Tramp is just one of those films. It's a dump truck movie, in my opinion. I watched it. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I think kids are going to like this. They could grow up with it as their new Lady and the Tramp. But I kind of forgot about it the day after I watched it. And that's not to say there aren't some good decisions made here. And they do capture this nice sense of atmosphere. It's genuinely well executed in that regard. But then you get into some of the choices that they made to change certain things, and the fact that the story is so cliche, even based on something that we know that exists, you separate that, and it is a bit cliche. So Lady and the Tramp, it's definitely sweet. I think your kids are going to enjoy it, but it's last on my list. Next up is Noelle. So Santa's daughter is taking over the family business when her father retires, her father being Santa Claus, and her brother, who is supposed to inherit the role of Santa Claus, he gets cold feet. That's a pun. Now, this movie has some solid talent. We have Bill Hader, we have Anna Kendrick, and here's what I said about this film when I first watched it. This is genuinely, to me, this is genuinely a movie that I think young kids are going to grow up with, and this could be their Elf. Now, I say that meaning the kids who watched it, because not a lot of people watch this movie compared to a film like Elf. But I do think it has something for that generation. If you're an adult watching this, you're going to find some elements really quirky. The way that they interact with each other is kind of cartoonish at times. Some of the jokes really do work, and they're cute. I love the exchange between Hader and Kendrick. You have this guy who has to be this thing, and he's just... well, he gets cold feet. He's scared to inherit the role of Santa Claus. But then you have Kendrick's character, and she's doing everything right. She's doing everything she's supposed to. She makes a few relationships that you don't necessarily buy into as much, and there is a CGI reindeer in here. It's really cute, but it's also really bad CGI, so that's something that Lady and the Tramp has over Noelle. But in terms of the story and what it's doing and the message it's trying to get across, I thought it was pretty cute, so I actually had a pretty good time with Noelle. Once again, not the best movie you'll ever see, but in terms of Disney Plus originals, it's in 4th place, so Congratulations. So next up is Stargirl. Now, all three of these movies we've talked about, they're all around a 6 out of 10 for me. So I look at them, I kind of adjust as I watch them, and I compare and contrast based off of what I gave them. Stargirl is the one that has stuck with me the longest since I first watched it. Not to say it has stuck with me or resonated compared to other films, but in terms of these Disney Plus original movies, I was genuinely impressed with Grace VanderWaal's performance. If you guys don't know, she is a singer. She's very talented in that regard, but she is kind of our quirky, mysterious student. Her name is Stargirl, and she is kind of taking this school by storm. And then you have this boy who is so intrigued by the concept of Stargirl, and he slowly spends his time getting to know her, but getting to know about her behind the scenes. And I do have issues when you look at the technical elements of this movie when she's performing and she doesn't have a microphone. I'm just like, how is everybody hearing her in the audience? And there's one moment when she gives a speech, same situation. They go about things in a very off-kilter way in this movie, both on a technical standpoint and the story itself. I mean, when she's performing with the high school band, she's looking at the camera, so she's almost breaking the fourth wall in those moments. It's like a music video. And while those weren't the most well executed from a technical standpoint, they were extremely entertaining. And I was as fascinated with the concept of Stargirl as our main character was. So it's a sweet movie. It's a nice coming-of-age story, and it's really all about finding yourself, right? It ends as strange as it begins without giving spoilers, so I think some young kids are in store for a nice little story here. Once again, it doesn't do enough to get me past thinking it's an okay movie, but for what it was doing, I actually had a pretty good time with it. Next up is a movie called Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made. What is that, Austin? Well, I can tell not a lot of people have watched this film, but I'm here to tell you about why this is, I think, a tiny step above the three films I just watched. It really captures the essence of what it's trying to do. It's trying to combine this very young coming-of-age story. I mean, this kid is, he's 11 years old. He runs his own agency. He has an 11,000-pound polar bear as a best friend. Obviously, it's imaginary. But he's living in his own world, and he's executing things the way that he wants to. Now, in turn, towards certain adults, that makes him seem kind of spoiled. That makes him seem kind of off, right? But you look at it from his perspective, he is doing what he believes to be right. And Austin, what is Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made? What is this about? Well, he is the best detective in town, so he goes about solving kids' cases in the way that he believes is right. And it's just really cute. And what stood out to me about this movie is the fact that, one, it was directed by Tom McCarthy, the director of Spotlight. That's right, the Oscar-winning film Spotlight from a few years ago. Don't know why he made the decision to come over and direct Timmy Failure. It's an odd choice, but from that standpoint, you can tell there's craft put into it. And it almost felt like a Wes Anderson film at times. The way that characters, spout out dialogue to each other, how they kind of look at the camera and acknowledge what's going on behind the scenes. And it was very artistic from that standpoint. Now, the story itself could have been better. Absolutely. And it really, in the third act, you want more out of the resolution of Timmy Failure. But the entire movie, I actually enjoyed. I had a good time with. I like this kid. He was a standout, right, in a movie like this. And you're on the journey, and you're on the journey for a reason. So if you guys want a very sweet coming-of-age story with some deeper themes and something that doesn't quite get there all the way, but it is, in my opinion, a bit better than the other three, check out Timmy Failure. It is the least watched movie on IMDb of the 5, so I don't think a lot of people have seen it. And then you have Togo. Togo is by far the best movie on this platform as a Disney Plus original, right? It's a standout film that I think everyone needs to watch. Willem Dafoe's performance in this movie, I genuinely believe, was probably top 30 performances of last year, right? I genuinely believe that. He was so good. He committed so heavily. And the difference between a movie like this and the Call of the Wild, right, is this decided to use actual dogs for a very similar story. but one that ended up being so much more impactful and emotional because of that decision and because of how well executed it was. Erickson Core is our director. Tom Flynn wrote our screenplay. And both of these guys execute so well on what you want from a heartfelt story like this. It's a story of redemption. It's a story of slowly accepting what these dogs are doing for you, and that's what Dafoe's character has to do here. And it's the story of Togo, who led the 1925 Serum Run, but was considered by most to be too small and too weak. Now, you see a story like that, and you think this is going to be an underdog, literally, underdog story. Nope. But an underdog story for the ages. A very emotional final act, and a gut punch at the end. I mean, I was watching this movie, and the whole time I'm like, this is way better than it should be. Because I was expecting nothing, to be honest with you. But Dafoe's performance, combined with the direction, combined with the fact that the dogs were incredible in this movie, created a really good film. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've raised my score. I want to go back and watch it again. I've tried to tell as many people as I can to watch Togo on Disney+. So if you're going to watch one of these, I think it is by far Togo. That's the one to check out. So let me know down below. 1, if you enjoy these videos, like I said, smash that thumbs up button. 2, what is your favorite Disney Plus original movie thus far? I would love to see your rankings 1 through 5. If you only watched one, well, then tell me that's the one you like the most. You guys are truly the best. I appreciate you watching. If you keep watching these videos, we will do more, so I would love some recommendations down below. I'll see you soon.